A very good evening and thank you for joining me for this week's final edition of Primetime News. I'm Selima Shumwefeleni Masipa. In today's top story, we turn our attention to the recent visit of the First Lady of the United States of America, Dr. Jill Biden, to the Hope Initiative located in Windhoek's informal settlement, Okahanja Park. The Hope Initiative is a remarkable organization that supports children living in squatter settlements in Namibia with the help of Peace Corps volunteers. The organization also offers economic strengthening programs aimed at promoting self-sufficiency for families. We now take a closer look at this important visit and the impact it had on the community.
Through Dreams, I have actually acquired a lot of information, and with the acronym, DREAM stands for Determined, Resilient, Empowered, AIDS-free, Mentored and Safe. So the resilience part has actually helped me to bounce back in life, and with that, I actually am a first-year student at the University of Namibia pursuing my degree in elementary education.
Oh, I love that. I love that, and the fact that you use acronym. That's very impressive.
My name is Peter. As they are saying, I was also part of the program last year. So my role was as a male ambassador to empower men, women and children in the community.
You know, PEPFAR it started how many years ago with George Bush, but it's just how many lives it has saved and how many lives it will continue to save. It's what, 20 years now, I think? Yeah, 20 years. So it's an amazing program. And
on to diplomatic affairs, where Minister Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah has made some significant remarks regarding the changing role of the national government in diplomacy. Speaking at the launch of the Namibia School of Diplomatic Studies at the University of Namibia on Wednesday, Nandi-Ndaitwah highlighted the declining functionality of diplomacy and its impact on the national government's role. More on this insert.
I see a great need for this school to start running to enable us to consistently improve on our services. Now, no more than ever before, that a diplomat's duty is not only to negotiate between states. The diplomats of today is facing so many actors in international relations. You are to negotiate with the private sector, you have to negotiate with religious groups, you have to negotiate with media, you have to negotiate even with negative forces. And you need to have the skills to deal with all these different actors in international affairs. As I stated earlier, the function of diplomacy is influenced by a complicated combination of different interlinked factors. For example, with the end of the Cold War, there was a drastic change in international political system, which, as we all know, had also an impact on ourselves as Namibians, with particular reference those of us who were fighting for our independence.
We now shift our focus to the 2023-2024 national budget as concerns arise over how the allocated funds will be utilized. Popular Democratic Movement leader McHenry Venani has urged the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises to exercise strict oversight on the spending habits of government ministries. In his statement, Venani emphasized the importance of accountability and transparency in the allocation of public funds.
I think the good thing in the budget is the fact that we are spending a bit of resources in key sectors such as education, health and so forth. So that's a good part of a budget. There is an expansion in the safety nets. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's a good thing. what is the bad of the budget is that the money that we are throwing to these very important sectors, especially the health and education, does not really mean that because you are spending more money in a sector, therefore your output is going to increase. The efficiency and absorption capacity in ministries are absorbing 83 to 82%. So 20% of our national budget's money that are supposed to buy textbooks to children, take medicines to our hospitals, put fuel in the vehicles of ambulances. This money are not spent 20%. And that's a huge chunk. So $75 billion, 20% of that money is not going to be spent in this country. So the Ministry of Health and Education ought to make a summative case to say, they are getting more money. Does it mean that we spend more money on education, we will have a passing rate that is going to improve? Imagine we are spending 28% of our national budget on education, and we have a less than 31% passing rate in the country. So by throwing more money to a problem does not automatically translate in an intended output.
The Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation held an award ceremony on Thursday to recognize the winners of the 2022 SADC Secondary School Essay Competition. Primetime News producer Petrus Namadiko spoke to some of the winners to get their reactions on receiving this prestigious award. Let's hear what they had to say.
I am the first place winner of the SADC 2022 Essay Competition. Our topic was how can SADC boost productive capacities in the face of COVID-19. I am immensely grateful to the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation and the Ministry of Education, the Zambezi Directorate of Education, for their confidence and trust in my work. As an encouragement to all my fellow learners and to anyone listening, I say to you, I leave to you my words, the words that my father left to me. Education is your greatest parent. Prioritize your education above everything else. Put all your zeal and your focus into your education, and I guarantee you that you will never ever be disappointed.
I'm filled with gratitude and immense joy for being awarded as the second place winner for the national level in the SADC Essay Competition 2022. Opportunities such as the one presented by the SADC leadership are the ones that enable us to engage in matters of social impacts, cultural, economical, as well as political matters. And these opportunities are the ones that grow us and develop us. So I say to everyone, young and old, go out, and never give up.
I'm indeed delighted to win this competition. I am proud of myself and of the effort that I actually put in the work. And for my fellow learners out there, I would just like to encourage you guys to actually take part in this competition, because it's an annual thing. It comes out every year, and then it's not good just for 2 or 3 people to be nominated as winners.
Stand by for your top roundup. Welcome to Primetime Biz, your go-to segment for all things business and economics. Introducing our top business story tonight. Namibia's Ministry of Information and Communication Technology is set to receive a 20 million Namibian dollars allocation from the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises for the establishment of an Office of the Information Commissioner. The move follows the recent enactment of the Access to Information Act and was announced by Finance Minister Ipumbushimi during the tabling of the national budget for the 2023-2024 financial year in Parliament.
Tabling the national budget for the 2023-2024 financial year in Parliament, Finance Minister Ipumbushimi said the establishment of the Office of the Information Commissioner follows the enactment of the Access to Information Act last year. In an interview with Nampa on Thursday, MICT spokesperson Shoki Kanjimi said the ministry still needs to determine the location of the new office as well as determine when construction will commence. Kanjimi said the ministry still has to do the groundwork in terms of how many staff members and when construction will start and all the other details. The installation of this office, according to Kanjimi, will pave the way for the appointment of the Information Commissioner and the Deputy Information Commissioner, who will be tasked to safeguard and promote the right to access to information to the public.
Our coverage of the 2023-2024 national budget continues, and we turn our attention to the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. Deputy Minister Natalia Tshwachoses has expressed her satisfaction with the budget allocation that her ministry has received. Let's listen in.
I am fine. My ministry also, to a certain extent, can address few challenges like the compensation to make way for development. We got 50 million that would at least to a certain degree address some of our challenges, and also more so the upgrade of the informal settlements in the urban areas. We are also thankful that we shall be able to at least address some of these informal settlement upgrades, which is indeed a policy directive by the president of this country, who declared informal settlement as humanitarian crisis. And now we are seeing the policy directive by the president now. Funds are following it. So we will be able also to address these informal areas. Of course, not everything, but as I said, if we have a prudent financial execution to a certain degree, Namibians will see the impact of this budget.
That's where we leave it with the top news for this evening. Stay tuned for the economics roundup, followed by the weather forecast. Welcome to Sport Planet. Paris Saint-Germain's former Real Madrid defender Sergio Ramos announced on Thursday that he is retiring from international football after a record 180 appearances for his country. The 36-year-old, who will be 37 in March, published a letter in which he confirmed he would no longer be available for the Spanish national side nearly 2 years after he made his last appearance on March 31, 2021, as a substitute against Kosovo. Ramos commented that New Spain coach Luis de la Fuente had spoken to him to explain he was no longer in his plans. On to English football. Manchester United and Newcastle will contest Sunday's League Cup final, both desperate for success. In United's case, the wait amounts to 6 years for the Magpies. The glory days are significantly more distant. The trophy cabinet at St. James Park was last unlocked to receive significant silverware in 1969 when Joe Harvey's side collected the Intercities Fairs Cup, and they have not tasted domestic glory since they returned to the North East from Wembley in 1955 with the FA Cup for the third time in 5 years. In the circumstances, it is little wonder that this season's charge to the League Cup final has captured the imagination of supporters, only a handful of whom have any memory of those halcyon days. Stand by for your sports roundup. This is where the Primetime News Friday edition concludes. Many thanks for tuning in. Do join us next week for another insightful and informative edition. From myself, Salima Shumwefeleni Masipa, and the entire production crew, it's good night.